For years, Usher's rise to fame was presented as a fairy tale. A gifted kid, the right mentors, and a fast track to superstardom. But now, as old interviews resurface and people close to Diddy speak out again, parts of that story are starting to sound far darker than what the public was sold. As Usher has slowly opened up about his early days in the industry, uncomfortable questions are resurfacing. What exactly did he experience as a teenager living in adult spaces? And what did he have to give up to survive and succeed in that world? Former Bad Boy bodyguard Gene Deal has been one of the loudest voices pulling back the curtain. According to Gene, the environment surrounding Diddy wasn't accidental. He claims it was shaped by powerful industry figures who came before him.
He learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clive Davis. You understand? When those people are telling you that they were heavy into the drugs, they was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage, that's gonna make him think that he can get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then.
You gotta understand, Gene says. He learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clive Davis. When those people were heavy into drugs, heavy into abusing women and getting away with it, that teaches someone they can do the same. Gene argues that Diddy didn't operate alone, and that the culture around him was enabled by higher powers who normalized excess, control, and silence. That brings the conversation to Flavor Camp, the place Usher was sent at just 13 years old. Usher has openly said that once he moved to New York, he lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year. The decision, according to Usher, came from music executive L.A. Reid, who believed being around Diddy would teach him flavor. Flavor Camp wasn't a school or a studio. It was Diddy's world in the 1990s. When asked what that environment was like, Usher didn't describe it as abusive, but he didn't describe it as normal either. He said it was wild, confusing, and full of things he didn't fully understand at the time. He admitted seeing very curious things happening, things a 13-year-old wouldn't have the emotional or mental tools to process. Biggie
moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans.
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary
okay?
J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack, Faith Evans, adult parties, adult energy. Usher said he wasn't harmed directly, but he was exposed, and that exposure mattered. He recalled staying up later than the adults, being given spending money, and living a lifestyle that felt exciting in the moment, but overwhelming in hindsight. When asked if he'd ever send his own child to Flavor Camp, Usher's answer was immediate. Hell no. At that age, Diddy reportedly served as Usher's legal guardian while producing his first album.
Usher confesses. Confess that Lifetime Achievement Award was a hush payment for your asshole and all of the many years of abuse. That wasn't no lifetime. I'm still mad. People say, why you say that about Usher?
Oh, okay. So
I'm mad that people aren't more mad at Usher.
For what?
Because somewhere along the way, he went from a victim to a procurer to a head turner. Like, let's just be honest about Usher. Is he a victim or is he a cooperating f***ing agent?
I think we saw the moment he turned into.
Let's be honest.
It's when Diddy put his arm around him and said,
We all know
Hey.
that chili was a PR relationship. We know that, right? That chili wasn't real. Him and Chili.
Oh yeah, you said Chili.
That wasn't. Who believes that was real?
I don't. Hands? No hands? Okay, all right.
Now, it all looked cute, older, hot, sexy woman, younger guy. And both very good-looking people.
Yes.
So how the f*** he ended up with that f*** after that?
Baby mama.
Let's be clear. He was still a young man. Let's be clear. He was still a young man and he was Usher. So if there was vanity involved, how the f*** you go from Chili to that? And don't say it's true love.
At a time when most kids are worried about school, Usher was living inside the adult music industry, without guardrails. Old footage has also resurfaced that many people now view differently. In one clip, Diddy jokes about wrestling with Usher as kids, waking up together and fighting over cereal. At the time, it was brushed off as humor. Today, some viewers say it feels uncomfortable, not because of proof of wrongdoing, but because of context. Years later, Usher addressed those early experiences more directly. In a 2004 Rolling Stone interview during the Confessions era, Usher said Diddy introduced him to a very different world of sex and relationships. He described opening doors and seeing people having sex, group encounters, and parties where you never knew what was going to happen. Usher explained that the environment pushed him into grown-up experiences before he was emotionally ready. He framed it not as something that destroyed him, but something he had to survive. He also made it clear he would not pass down the same advice or lifestyle to anyone else. Critics argue this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. Some believe Usher started as a victim of that environment. Let's not ignore why people started digging in the first place. Dawn Richards' lawsuit against Diddy alleges that Usher and
Diddy, he was by L.A. Reid, the rest of them too, man. Because they knew what happened. Then they came out and brought him back, and all of a sudden, he's getting all the great tracks. He's getting all the songs. They making him into this star, even though he may have been a
They seem to be pretty good friends.
Well, they probably is.
I mean, they did a lot of work together, man, throughout their whole career. You know, Puff was early in his career. Puff and Usher were working together when Usher was just a kid, all the way up. I mean, you know, I think there's videos from not too long ago when they were together. And, you know, Puff is making jokes about how they used to wrestle for the Frosted Flakes in the morning. And,
yeah, I bet they did.
you know,
Somebody frosted somebody frosted somebody flakes. Without the milk.
what do you think it is that keeps Usher from coming out or saying anything?
Because, yo, dog, you gotta realize in that industry, a lot of people are stand back and say, well, it happened to me. That's how some of them people pay their dues. And the people who don't go down like that don't be as great as the Ushers, as the Diddys. It's a way of passage to certain people in the entertainment business.
and Neo were present when Diddy allegedly punched Cassie in the stomach, causing her visible pain. Dawn said what scared her most wasn't just the violence, it was the silence. These were powerful celebrities who allegedly saw something and kept working like nothing happened. That silence spoke louder than words. Then there's the allegation that refuses to die, that Usher was the one who introduced Justin Bieber to Diddy. That rumor is everywhere, and there's no way Usher hasn't seen it. On top of that, Kim Porter's book mentions alleged tapes involving a young pop star, and people online immediately started speculating. Now here's where things get uncomfortable. Why would Usher mass delete his tweets while all of this is circulating? If he were just a witness against Diddy, that move doesn't make sense. Witnesses don't erase history. People who don't want people digging do. It feels less like protection and more like cleanup. Gene Deal explains that Usher didn't just grow up around one powerful man. He grew up around a whole system of powerful adults who knew exactly how young he was. They saw what was happening, stayed quiet, and kept pushing him forward anyway. Instead of protecting him,
When he was in New York City, he was like that gecko from the Geico commercial. Then he turned and started when he lived in Cali and Miami, he turned into Godzilla. I would see him talk about how he using drugs. He was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bro. Then he started doing things to people, you understand, that he learned. That's a learned behavior, bro.
treated him like an investment. After those early years, everything suddenly opened up for Usher. The best records, the biggest opportunities, the fast track to legend status. All while he was still carrying things no kid should ever have to carry. A lot of people believed Usher was just with Diddy, Gene says. Nah, he was with L.A. Reid too, and the rest of them. They knew what happened. Then all of a sudden, he's getting all the hits. Usher and Diddy worked together from the time Usher was a kid all the way up. There are even old clips of Diddy joking about how they used to wrestle for Frosted Flakes in the morning. Back then, people laughed. Now it hits different. And Gene doesn't mince words about why someone like Usher might never speak up. In that industry, he says, a lot of people believe going through hard things is just part of paying your dues. The ones who don't go through it don't end up as big. From the outside, it looks like success. From the inside, it had to be terrifying. Gene also makes one thing clear. Diddy didn't become who he is overnight. According to him, this behavior was learned, passed down. He learned from Andre Harrell.
And his learned behavior from the people that mentored him. You gotta realize, man, he learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clive Davis. You understand? When those people are telling you that they were heavy into the drugs, they was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage, that's gonna make him think that he could get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. You understand? The things that he was saying, you know, the touchy-feely between two men and all that stuff like that, man. All that, he learned that from them dudes. When I told y'all the story, when me and my man went up to Russell Simmons and he had a house and he had a man in bikini drawers in his bedroom, in his bed. You understand? Bruh, this is that he learned. I'm assuming he learned it from them.
He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clive Davis, Gene says. When the people teaching you are heavy into drugs, heavy into abuse, and getting away with it, that tells you it's allowed. Gene says once the money, power, and pressure grew, Diddy changed. What started as ambition turned into control. What started as influence turned into something darker. That's why this matters for Usher. When young artists grow up inside that system, they're not just learning music, they're learning how power works, and sometimes they're taught the worst lessons possible. And the Clive Davis connection only deepens the questions. Clive gave Diddy $15 million to start Bad Boy Records, then followed it up years later with a $50 million advance, a massive salary, and full industry backing.
They just know he got the budget. He go to LA, he talk to Clive, he come back with the bread. Apparently, he has this man's confidence. Yeah, I'm sure that man was very confident with his in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Clive is a whole freak.
You think Clive put him on to all
I know. Clive, that's what he do. Queen Clive. Long may she reign in hell.
When 50 Cent...
Don't nobody want to talk about why R. Kelly's bus was parked in Clive Davis's driveway, why his tour bus was parked in Clive Davis's driveway at the house where the shit went down between Chris and Rihanna. Don't nobody want to talk about why it was filled with video girls who were being trafficked. And he was never questioned by Me Too. Why ain't nobody from Me Too saying anything? They had so much to say about Harvey Weinstein, who's now all his charges is being dropped. So much for their investigation. Guess it was a little paper thin.
That kind of power doesn't come without expectations. This wasn't just talent building. This was empire building. And when empires are built like that, silence isn't accidental. It's enforced. Clive Davis is one of the most powerful figures the music industry has ever seen. That part isn't debated. What is often overlooked is that Clive himself publicly came out as bisexual in his memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life at the Age of 80. This wasn't speculation or rumor, it was his own words. He later spoke about it openly in interviews, including with Katie Couric, saying he hoped his honesty would help bring more understanding around bisexuality. But for critics of the industry, Clive's personal identity isn't the issue. Power is. People who have spoken from inside the music business argue that Clive wasn't just shaping artists. He was shaping systems. According to some insiders, Diddy didn't simply rise on talent alone. He was backed, funded, and protected by people far above him. And once someone is shown how real power works, those lessons don't disappear. They multiply. One former insider claimed that when serious issues...
Let me ask you, because I know the topic is sensitive. What happened to Usher?
I heard about some music executive from the industry back in Harlem. You know, I heard it from some music executives back in Harlem. And I'm not going to speak on their name. They doing programs and everything like that, and they may be doing some programs. They may speak on it themselves. But I heard it from some music executives.
Where did you hear it?
Bro, you know how people be talking and we was around some people, something like that, and then some people might say, yo, I don't F with that dude. And at the time, I didn't even know who the F Usher was. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those type of situations. And when people say, yo, man, I don't F with them niggas, man, I'm getting out that industry and everything like that. You know, Puff sent this little kid to the hospital. How he sent him to the hospital? Man, nigga was bleeding from the butt. And that's what was said. I didn't even have a name for the kid at the time. Then you heard, and that's what happened. And that's just, that's something that you heard. You don't know if it's true, you just heard it. So, and just to hear this, and this new thing where they saying that they got kids coming forward and said that he did that, I don't, man. That shit is crazy. And like I just said, that's just something that I heard. It's something that I didn't know. It's something that I ain't seen. A lot of people want to, because Gene Deal has spoken on certain things that I've heard, I have spoken on it. But then they were just trying to say, I know. No, I'm not scared to say what I heard. And if there's any truth to it, then it's truth to it. Let them find it.
Issues began to surface around Diddy. Powerful people distanced themselves publicly while quietly trying to protect their own interests. In that telling, Diddy allegedly became both a shield and a liability. Someone who knew too much, filmed too much, and kept records that made others nervous. These claims remain unproven, but they reflect a broader belief held by many critics, that federal raids and investigations don't just happen in a vacuum. They happen when influence shifts, alliances break, or someone stops being useful. Clive Davis, by that time, was already untouchable. By the time Diddy entered the industry, Clive had the power to launch or end careers. He helped finance Bad Boy Records, reportedly giving Diddy millions in backing, studio resources, and industry access. To many observers, that wasn't mentorship, it was empire building. People close to the situation have said Clive didn't just teach Diddy about music. He taught him how leverage works, how loyalty is enforced, how silence is rewarded, and how success can excuse behavior that would destroy others. If you're raised inside that system, critics argue, you don't question it, you repeat it. That's where the conversation turns darker. Over the years, multiple people connected to that world have spoken about environments where boundaries were blurred, where young artists were exposed to adult situations far too early, and where saying no wasn't always an option if you wanted to keep your career. Gene Deal, a former bodyguard and longtime industry insider, has spoken about disturbing rumors he says circulated for years. He's been clear to say these were things he heard, not things he personally witnessed. Still, he believes those stories deserve investigation, especially now the new...
Now, one person didn't know that Puffy was Usher. Now, one person didn't know what the saddest thing in the world is what they did to Justin Bieber.
What was that?
That's bad.
What'd they do to him? Because there's a lot of speculation out there, but nobody. I mean, I've heard things, but what did they really do to him?
They had sex with him
when he was a kid.
I hate to say that. I hate to say that because I really like Justin Bieber. I feel bad for Justin Bieber. And this wouldn't have happened if Justin Bieber came from a wealthy family. Justin Bieber pretty much came from a poor family, but the young man was so talented, and he could have been bigger than Michael Jackson. But the depression of the drugs and the stuff he allowed these grown men to do to this little boy is unhealthy, and it's fucked up. No grown men supposed to be getting high and doing drugs and drinking with a kid.
Hey, Suge, you know, yeah, Justin Bieber has been getting this out in different ways. You know, you could see it in his music and just what he's been trying to say without saying it. So, I mean, I think everybody knows what you just stated to be true.
I mean, you had grown men would take Justin Bieber. A grown man take Justin Bieber when he was young to a romantic vacation, showing pictures on the Instagram with no women, nobody else but a grown, successful man and this little kid. And even if you and I was going on vacation together, and regardless if wives mad or not, it's definitely not going to be in me and you. It's going to be mad because we're going to have some there. Or I'm not going to be sitting on a romantic island, just you and me.
Lawsuits and testimonies are emerging. According to Gene, what made those rumors hit harder in hindsight is that today, some individuals are stepping forward with their own accounts. Stories that once sounded unbelievable now feel uncomfortably familiar. Suge Knight has echoed similar concerns in interviews, questioning how young talent was handled and protected, or not protected, in elite industry spaces. He's spoken emotionally about artists who came from poor, unstable backgrounds, arguing that their vulnerability made them easier to exploit. In those conversations, the focus isn't just on one person, it's on a culture where power shields itself, where success is used to justify silence, where people who speak up are dismissed and people who stay quiet keep working. Critics argue that Diddy didn't invent that system, he inherited it. And if that's true, then the real question becomes bigger than any one mogul or executive. It becomes about accountability in an industry that rewarded results while ignoring the cost. That's why these stories keep resurfacing, not because everyone believes every claim, but because too many patterns overlap, too many voices tell similar stories, and too many powerful figures remain untouched. Whether the truth ever fully comes out remains to be seen. But what's clear is that the music industry's past isn't as clean as it was once marketed, and the people who came up inside it are still carrying the weight. You can hear it in his music, you can feel it in what he's been trying to say without ever fully saying it. Many people believe Usher has been telling his story in fragments for years, hiding pain behind melodies, confessionals disguised as hits. To some, it's obvious that what he went through shaped him deeply, even if he never spelled.
On top of that, when I met Usher, I came on one time, I'm speaking to the guy because he got good songs. That's out of respect. Like young black man. This dude rolled his eyes at me. And so there was somebody came over and kind of said, Suge, you know, don't have one of your guys do nothing to him. He a good young man, but him and Puffy got a thing. He had a thing. He said, he gave me a look like, you know. And I thought about it. The way he rolled his eyes at me wasn't like somebody homie rolled it. It was like I beat up somebody's man. Like I beat his, you know, he the bitch. Like somebody to roll their eyes. Like you beat my boyfriend up. I ain't speaking to you.
Really?
It was one of those, right? Yeah, for sure. And the crazy thing about it is like Leslie, his mother, and everybody else said the same thing. Well, it was wrong, but if we go and get Puffy in trouble behind that, Usher wouldn't be Usher. He'd be known as the guy who got molested by Puffy, and they didn't want that. They wanted the money.
Held it out. Critics point to how, early on, powerful men surrounded Justin Bieber when he was still a child. Public images circulated showing grown men vacationing, mentoring, and spending extensive one-on-one time with him. No peers, no visible safeguards, no balance. To many observers, that alone raised red flags. Not because mentorship is wrong, but because boundaries matter, especially when fame, money, and control are involved. Suge Knight has claimed that Usher once stayed in the same environment as Diddy while working on music, yet nothing ever came from those sessions creatively. Later, when Suge encountered Usher as an adult, he said something felt off. Not hostility, but distance, discomfort, and something unspoken. Suge described an interaction where Usher's reaction felt personal, not professional. According to him, others quickly stepped in, urging restraint, implying that any controversy tied to Diddy would permanently define Usher, not as an artist, but as a scandal. The message, Suge says, was clear. Protecting the image mattered more than addressing the harm. That belief, that silence protects success, is a recurring theme. Many believe Usher stayed quiet because speaking out would have cost him everything. And over time, that silence may have shaped how he navigated power himself. Critics argue that what someone survives doesn't always end with them. Sometimes it gets passed down. Jaguar Wright has made some of the most explosive claims, alleging that Usher later played a role in introducing Justin Bieber to Diddy, continuing a cycle rather than breaking it. These are allegations, not proven facts, but they've fueled widespread debate. According to her,
look at Usher, they don't see that. They're not seeing the victim. They're not seeing that boy that got rushed to the hospital. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there. Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like. What kind of fucking asshole do you gotta be to take another boy, another talented boy, and put him in your place so it ain't gotta be you no more?
Diddy had attempted to access Bieber before and was initially blocked by management. It wasn't until Usher stepped in as a mentor and later assumed a guardianship role that Bieber spent time under Diddy's influence. One widely cited example is the now infamous 48 Hours reference, which critics say symbolize a lack of appropriate oversight. To those raising concerns, the question isn't about intent, it's about responsibility. If someone knows firsthand how damaging certain environments can be, why expose another young artist to them? That's the question people keep asking. And it's why this conversation hasn't gone away. Some argue that Usher believed he was helping. Others believe he normalized what had already been normalized to him. Either way, the result, critics say, looks like repetition, not protection. Now, with Diddy's image collapsing and long-buried stories resurfacing, people are reassessing everyone who stood nearby. Silence that once looked strategic now looks suspicious. Loyalty that once looked professional now looks complicated. So the question becomes this: does Usher deserve a second chance if he finally speaks openly about what he witnessed? About Diddy, about Clive Davis, about the systems that shaped them all? Or does accountability require more than truth after the fact? That's not for one person to decide. But the public is watching now. And this time, silence may not be enough.